He died today in Los Angeles at 75, an apparent suicide.
Love him. Peace and
Behind the facade of cool and charisma that Don Cornelius portrayed on Soul Train, the legendary host of the iconic dance show struggled with a heart-wrenching personal battle that ultimately led to a tragic ending. Join us as we uncover the untold story of Don Cornelius's personal life and his heartbreaking end that will definitely bring you to tears. The visionary behind Soul Train. The influence of Cornelius and Soul Train on American culture was most clearly shown in a conversation he had with James Brown. In the VH1 documentary Soul Train, The Hippest Trip in America, Cornelius shared a story about Brown's first appearance on the show. Brown was impressed by the production's professionalism and asked who was supporting Cornelius. Cornelius responded by saying that he handles everything himself.
And then came to me and he said, "Brother, who's really behind this?" And I said, "James, it's just me."
Brown, appearing skeptical about the idea of a black man running a successful TV show on his own, asked the question twice more. Cornelius's consistent response to him raised doubts in Brown's mind. Given Brown's involvement in advocating for black empowerment and representation, it was surprising to him that Cornelius had managed to create Soul Train without any white investors. This conversation highlighted the exceptional nature of Cornelius's accomplishments. In 1970, Soul Train made its debut on a local television station in Chicago as a bold experiment. Cornelius had a vision of creating a show that would bring attention to soul music and black artists, similar to how American Bandstand had done for mainstream pop performers. This idea quickly gained popularity, and before long, the show expanded to national syndication, establishing Cornelius as the first black entrepreneur to and operate a nationally syndicated television program. His achievements were comparable to those of other black trailblazers in the music industry, such as Berry Gordy, the visionary behind Motown Records, and hinted at the emerging success of future black television moguls like Bob Johnson, who introduced Black Entertainment Television, BET, in 1980. Cornelius had a broader vision than just highlighting black talent in front of the camera. He was adamant about having a strong black presence behind the scenes too, recruiting black producers, directors, and crew members. He diversified the Soul Train brand by branching out into related industries like record production and award shows, further establishing himself as a pioneer in the black business and entertainment world. Even though Soul Train was originally intended to showcase black culture, it soon became a popular Saturday morning show for people from all walks of life. The Soul Train line, a segment where dancers would form two lines and take turns showing off their moves, became a tradition in America, making appearances at various events like weddings, parties, and bar mitzvahs. Cornelius's impact highlighted a key aspect of American culture. When black art is showcased in its truest, most genuine form, it will eventually be accepted by the mainstream. This lesson was one that would be intuitively grasped by upcoming hip-hop tycoons such as Russell Simmons and Jay-Z. Yet, surprisingly, Cornelius faced challenges in adjusting to the emergence of hip-hop. Despite possessing a comparable entrepreneurial drive to the rap pioneers, he failed to fully embrace the genre, resulting in Soul Train losing relevance in the late 1980s and 1990s. Cornelius was not only known for his role in promoting artists, but also for his distinctive voice and hairstyle. He became a well-known figure, even being parodied in mainstream media. Over time, he started to be acknowledged for more than just his physical traits. In 2011, the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture obtained memorabilia from Soul Train, solidifying its significance in black culture. However, Don Cornelius's life wasn't as easy as this from the start. In fact, the show itself did not grow easily. Let's explore the early journey of Don Cornelius and the creation of Soul Train. From humble beginnings to the Marine Corps. Donald Cortez, Cornelius entered the world on September 27, 1936, in Chicago, Illinois. His father, Carter Cornelius, hailed from El Dorado, Arkansas, and his mother, Thelma Booth Cornelius, was originally from Higginson, Arkansas. Raised in the Bronzeville district in the southern part of Chicago, he experienced firsthand the dynamic Black community and the challenges faced by families striving for upward mobility. His father's occupation was in the postal service, while his mother dedicated herself to managing the household. Despite facing financial challenges, Cornelius remained determined. After completing his education at DuSable High School in 1954, he sought employment in different fields to sustain himself. At one point, he tried his hand at selling cars, but the path ahead still seemed unclear. Seeking reliability and security, he decided to join the U.S. Marine Corps. During his time in the military, he was deployed to South Korea for 18 months. This period taught him important values, such as discipline, perseverance, and a strong sense of direction, which would significantly influence his future endeavors. Upon his return to Chicago, Cornelius explored various professional opportunities. While briefly employed as a Chicago police officer, he realized that the role did not satisfy him. A desire to follow a different path, one that enabled him to showcase his artistic abilities and passion for narrative, began to manifest within him. In the beginning, Cornelius tied the knot with his childhood love, Dolores Harrison. They were blessed with 2 sons, Anthony and Raymond. But as his aspirations expanded, the demands of his profession strained his relationships. The marriage eventually collapsed, signaling the start of personal challenges that haunted him for years to come. Cornelius decided to pursue a career outside of the usual job options and decided to join a broadcasting course. Even though it was not a typical choice for someone like him, his interest in media led him to take this unconventional path. His captivating voice and charming demeanor quickly made him stand out among experts in the field. In 1966, Cornelius started working in broadcasting as a radio disc jockey and news reporter in Chicago. After a year, he moved to television, where he became a sports broadcaster on a show called A Black's Perspective on the News. He covered civil rights demonstrations and social uprisings, being greatly influenced by the increasing conversations about Black empowerment and pride. One individual who greatly impacted him was Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jackson remembered meeting Cornelius during Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s visit to Chicago. According to Jackson, Cornelius was brimming with enthusiasm and innovative concepts, especially regarding portraying young Black individuals in a positive manner on television. Cornelius was confident that the lack of opportunities, rather than talent, was the main issue holding back Black America. He was determined to alter this perception by establishing a platform that would showcase Black artists, dancers, and performers on a national scale. The birth of Soul Train. Don Cornelius had a vision for a TV program that would highlight the talents of Black musicians and dancers, a concept that had not been explored on a widespread level before. Taking inspiration from American Bandstand, he aimed to provide a platform exclusively for Black artists with Soul Train. In a period where Black performers were often overlooked on mainstream TV, Cornelius saw a chance to shine a spotlight on their talents and give them the acknowledgement they were due. Soul Train made its debut on Chicago's WCIU-TV in 1970, creating a new space for Black music, dance, and style. The show attracted a dedicated following early on, demonstrating the need for more Black voices on television. By featuring iconic artists like James Brown, the Jackson 5, Aretha Franklin, and Stevie Wonder, the program showcased talent that had been overlooked by mainstream TV. Recognizing the opportunity for increased achievements, Cornelius took a daring step in 1971 when he moved Soul Train to Los Angeles, enabling the program to expand its viewership across the country. This shift signified a significant change, elevating Soul Train from a regional Chicago show to a widespread sensation. While Soul Train was on the rise in terms of popularity, Cornelius encountered several obstacles. One major hurdle was the difficulty in attracting advertisers. Numerous companies were cautious about supporting a program focused on Black culture, as they were unsure if it would resonate with a wide range of viewers. With limited corporate backing, Cornelius had to fund a significant portion of the show's production out of his pocket, resulting in personal sacrifices to maintain his creative vision. Even though there were challenges, Soul Train achieved national syndication in 1971, securing its position in the annals of television. The popularity of the show demonstrated that Black viewers and the general public were interested in content that showcased Black culture. As the show expanded, its impact also grew, influencing music, dance, and fashion trends throughout the nation. Soul Train was a trailblazer in promoting Black music and culture for more than 30 years. It held the record for being the longest-running nationally syndicated television show, giving numerous artists the platform to reach a wider audience. In contrast to other shows at the time, Soul Train welcomed both professional and non-professional dancers to display their skills on a national scale. The exhibition showcased performers from various music categories such as R&B, soul, disco, pop, gospel, and eventually hip-hop. As Black music progressed, so did Soul Train, establishing itself as a lasting force in the music world. It went beyond just being a TV program, becoming a significant cultural establishment that offered artists a chance to engage with their fans during a time when opportunities for Black entertainers were scarce. As Soul Train became more well-known across the country, Cornelius continued to advocate for its autonomy. He was determined to keep the show under the ownership of Black entrepreneurs, rejecting any attempts at external influence. This stance, however, presented its difficulties, with Cornelius steadfastly refusing to hand over Soul Train to a larger network. Attracting corporate sponsorships proved to be a constant battle. Cornelius's feud with Dick Clark, the host of American Bandstand, grew more intense when Clark tried to start a rival show called Soul Unlimited. Some believed this was an effort to take advantage of the audience that Soul Train had built. Cornelius, backed by Reverend Jesse Jackson and others, fought back against this, accusing Clark of exploiting Black culture without acknowledging its creators. As a result of the backlash, Soul Unlimited was ended in less than a year, allowing Soul Train to maintain its position as the top show for Black music and entertainment. Soul Train had a significant influence not only in the world of music, but also in shaping the trends of popular culture. Through the introduction of various dance styles, the show left a lasting impact that would go on to influence future generations. The iconic Soul Train line became a fundamental part of American entertainment, setting trends and creating cultural phenomena. Every episode began with a cartoon train and its distinctive whistle, hinting at the thrilling events ahead. While a few acts mimed the words, most musicians sang live, producing memorable instances in TV's past. The dancers on the program, a number of whom hailed from nearby schools in Los Angeles, such as Locke, Crenshaw, and Dorsey, gained the same level of fame as the singers. The Soul Train line, a popular segment of the show, allowed people to show off their dance skills in front of others. Even though the dancers did not get paid, they were able to gain recognition and travel to different countries, making their time on the show worth more than just money. Cornelius revolutionized the advertising industry by introducing more diversity. Prior to Soul Train, television commercials rarely showcased Black individuals. The program promoted Black-owned products during its commercial breaks, bringing attention to businesses previously overlooked by the mainstream media. This not only contributed to the growth of these businesses, but also fostered a sense of empowerment within the Black community. In the 1980s, Soul Train was firmly established as a cultural icon. With the rise of hip-hop, the show evolved by showcasing emerging artists to a wider audience, solidifying its influence on American music and dance. Unlike other music shows, Soul Train eagerly embraced hip-hop, playing a key role in legitimizing the genre in popular culture. In 1987, Cornelius saw the increased impact of Soul Train and decided to introduce the Soul Train Music Awards. This ceremony recognized excellence in black music and entertainment, giving much-needed acknowledgement to talented artists. Unlike some award shows that ignored black artists, the Soul Train Music Awards highlighted their significant contributions to the industry, emphasizing the importance of black creativity in popular culture. Cornelius was not simply a television presenter, but a forward thinker who revolutionized the entertainment field. His dedication to Soul Train extended beyond just producing a popular program. He aimed to offer black musicians a platform to showcase their talents. So, what were the challenges that ultimately led to the end of this beloved show? Challenges and changing times. The music industry was undergoing significant changes in the 1980s. Cable channels such as MTV and BET provided alternative avenues for black musicians, diminishing the impact of Soul Train. Despite Don Cornelius's first acceptance of disco, he grappled with the rise of hip-hop and rap, believing them to be less refined than previous styles. Adapting to evolving musical preferences, the show struggled to compete amidst shifts in television programming that posed challenges to its continued success. In 1982, Cornelius had to have a serious operation to fix the abnormal blood vessels in his brain. Even though the surgery was a success, it signaled the start of his ongoing battle with health problems. Nevertheless, he stayed committed to Soul Train, guaranteeing that it remained a place for black artists and performers. In the early 1990s, Cornelius noticed a change in what viewers liked. After 22 years of hosting Soul Train, he made the choice to step back in 1993. This decision signaled a new direction for the show, with guest hosts stepping in. From 1997 to 1999, comedian Maestro Clark took on hosting duties, followed by actor Shemar Moore from 1999 to 2003, and lastly, actor and playwright Dorian Gregory from 2003 until the show concluded in 2006. While the new hosts injected the show with a renewed sense of vitality, Soul Train found itself in a fierce battle with other music programs. With a plethora of choices available to viewers, the show found it challenging to sustain the same cultural significance it once held. In the early 2000s, Cornelius recognized that it was the end of the line for Soul Train. Having played a significant role in shaping black music and culture for many years, the show was struggling to keep up with the evolving media environment. He decided to resign from his position and started searching for potential buyers to ensure the brand's heritage would be maintained. In 2006, Soul Train came to an end after being on the air for 35 years, setting a record as the longest-running television show catered to black audiences. Even though it ended, its impact was still evident. Many artists got their big break on the show, new dance trends were introduced, and it served as a crucial stage for black performers. In order to guarantee the continuation of Soul Train, Cornelius transferred ownership to Kennard Gibbs, a previous Vibe executive. This decision helped maintain the relevance of the brand, resulting in new adaptations like award ceremonies and TV programs honoring its history. In his later years, Cornelius received widespread recognition for his impact on television. The Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame honored him in 1995 for his innovative contributions to the industry. A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was dedicated to him in 2006, solidifying his place among entertainment legends. Cornelius, despite his public status, chose to keep his personal life out of the limelight. Those who knew him well, such as music producer Clarence Avant, portrayed him as an individual who cherished his privacy and only surrounded himself with a select few close companions. Decline and tragic end. Following his time with Soul Train, Don Cornelius faced challenges in his personal life. He tied the knot with Russian model Victoria Chapman in 2001. However, their union was plagued by constant issues. The couple's relationship was marred by disagreements, and by 2008, it had deteriorated significantly. In October of that same year, Cornelius found himself in legal trouble after being charged with domestic violence. He admitted guilt to spousal battery and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. Their marriage officially ended in 2009 after a lengthy and acrimonious legal dispute. Cornelius had to provide $10,000 monthly to Chapman as alimony, buy her a house, and fund their adopted daughter's education. The financial agreement took a heavy toll on him, and his loved ones observed a shift in his demeanor. He started to isolate himself more, frequently voicing remorse over his decisions. According to his friends, he felt deceived and manipulated, finding it difficult to comprehend the collapse of his personal life. Concurrently, Cornelius experienced a decline in health. His condition deteriorated due to intense migraines and sporadic seizures, stemming from the operation he underwent on his brain in 1982. The constant agony he endured weighed heavily on him, leading to isolation and withdrawal from social interactions. He shied away from public events and preferred solitude, struggling to reach out to his former acquaintances due to heightened social anxiety. Even though his health was deteriorating, he chose not to disclose any information to others. He faced numerous cancer scares, but chose to keep them to himself. His loved ones were concerned about his emotional well-being, as he frequently talked about feeling neglected and undervalued. He grappled with the ghosts of his past errors and battled with feelings of depression. Cornelius called his son, Anthony, in distress at 4 a.m.
Tony, there's one mistake I made that I kind of regret.
On February 1, 2012, Anthony hurried to his father's house in Los Angeles upon hearing his shaky and overwhelmed voice. Unfortunately, by the time Anthony arrived, Cornelius had already fired himself in the head. Emergency services responded quickly and took Cornelius to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where doctors tried their best to save him. However, despite their efforts, Cornelius was declared dead at 4:57 a.m. at the age of 75. The entertainment industry was left reeling by the unexpected death of the man. It was difficult for many to comprehend that someone who had brought happiness to so many people had chosen to tragically end his life. Cornelius was buried on February 10, 2012, at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. The funeral was a small gathering of family, friends, and some colleagues. Emotions were evident as attendees remembered his challenges during his last days. In his later years, he preferred to keep to himself, but he was still honored by numerous artists. Talented musicians who had graced the stage of Soul Train mourn his passing, highlighting his significance in their lives. Aretha Franklin praised him as an innovator who left a lasting impact. Quincy Jones hailed him as a pioneer in television who elevated Black artists' visibility on a national level. Gladys Knight, a frequent guest on Soul Train, praised Cornelius for his kindness and work ethics. She recalled his dedication to treating musicians with dignity and advocating for fair treatment. Smokey Robinson echoed the sentiment, acknowledging Cornelius's significant impact on music culture that set him apart from others. His passing served as a touching reflection of the inner conflicts he had confronted. Despite encountering hardships in his last moments, the overwhelming display of affection from fellow artists and admirers demonstrated the enduring influence he had on society. However, Don Cornelius did not leave without a strong legacy. Now that he is no more, what is he majorly remembered for? Don Cornelius and the legacy of Soul Train. While Don Cornelius may no longer be alive, his legacy lives on through his groundbreaking work on Soul Train. The show, spanning over 900 episodes, paved the way for numerous Black artists to gain exposure to a larger audience. It was a pivotal platform that propelled the careers of musicians like Tina Marie, Curtis Mayfield, and the Jackson 5, as well as boosting the profiles of emerging talents such as Vivica A. Fox, Jody Watley, and Rosie Perez. Even today, decades after its first debut, Soul Train is still revered for its significant cultural impact and enduring influence on the entertainment realm. During its inception, the show did not attract big-name artists right away. According to Don Cornelius' son, Tony, the top talent was not initially interested in making appearances. However, as Soul Train became more popular, it became evident that it was the place to be. When word spread about the show's success, renowned artists recognized the influence of the program. It was a groundbreaking show that revolutionized careers, providing a platform for Black artists to showcase their talents and receive recognition on their terms. Soul Train made a significant impact not only on the music industry, but also on television history. It holds the record for being the longest-running syndicated TV show ever. The collaboration with Johnson Products, known for Afro Sheen hair products, was crucial in defining the show's identity. Soul Train was more than just a platform for Black music. It also highlighted Black beauty, style, and lifestyle. During a time when Black hair was often expected to adhere to European beauty norms, Soul Train confidently showcased natural hairstyles. Afros, textured curls, and voluminous tresses were prominently featured in advertisements and on the dance floor, pushing back against the mainstream's limited views of beauty. The program's bold celebration of Black identity also extended to its style choices. Whenever guests and dancers graced the Soul Train stage, they did so in their most elegant attire, vibrant hues, luxurious materials, and trendy patterns. Bell-bottoms, dashikis, sequined blazers, and exaggerated collars quickly became iconic ensembles. The show portrayed the inventiveness and self-assurance of Black culture in a manner that had seldom been witnessed on TV. Black representation on television was minimal prior to Soul Train. Don Cornelius, during his first years at WCIU in Chicago, reported on social issues and interacted with prominent civil rights figures such as Reverend Jesse Jackson and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recognizing the significance of positive media portrayal, he aimed to develop a program that showcased Black individuals in a positive and empowering light. During that period, African Americans were frequently depicted in a negative light by the mainstream media, with stories focusing on crime and poverty being prevalent. However, there was a lack of representation for positive stories highlighting Black achievements. Cornelius aimed to alter this narrative by establishing a platform for Black artists, dancers, and entertainers to display their skills authentically. Bill Withers, Al Green, Bobby Womack, Little Richard, Stevie Wonder, and Marvin Gaye were among the artists who gained exposure and expanded their fan base by performing on Soul Train. Michael Jackson, despite his existing fame, also took away valuable lessons from the show. The discovery of the backslide by Jeffrey Daniel, one of the show's dancers, ultimately led to Jackson popularizing it as the iconic moonwalk dance move. Aretha Franklin, recognized as one of the top vocalists in history, acknowledged Soul Train for the role it played in propelling artists to fame. According to her, being a guest on the show had the power to transform a relatively obscure performer into a household name in an instant. In situations where an artist's album was only selling 10,000 copies, a spot on Soul Train had the potential to boost sales to hundreds of thousands. In 1970, the debut of Soul Train in Chicago came at a time when Black Americans were grappling with the lingering impacts of institutional racism and unfairness. Despite the official end of segregation, its aftermath continued to have a profound impact. Black neighborhoods were dealing with financial struggles, prejudice, and restricted chances. During these challenging times, Soul Train stood out as a symbol of happiness and determination. During the majority of its duration, the program mainly showcased Black entertainers. Infrequently were non-black musicians brought on board, and if they were, it indicated they had gained recognition within the black music community. Elton John broke the barrier as the first white artist to perform on Soul Train in 1975, highlighting a change and demonstrating the program's influence in music that went beyond racial divisions. Many musicians saw an invitation to Soul Train as a way to prove their credibility. Just producing music wasn't sufficient. Artists needed to craft something that resonated with black viewers. This concept underscored the show's importance beyond entertainment. It was a driving force in determining who held power in the music business. Although Soul Train was groundbreaking in various aspects, Cornelius was also a shrewd entrepreneur. He recognized the significance of being financially self-sufficient and implemented smart choices that guaranteed the show's continued success. In an era where black-owned TV shows were few and far between, Soul Train distinguished itself as a self-supporting business. Cornelius put an effort to retain authority over the creative direction, striking sponsorship agreements and broadening the brand through additional endeavors such as the Soul Train Music Awards. Soul Train was not just a profitable venture, but also a significant representation of culture. When reflecting on its impact, it seems to go against capitalism in its essence, not by intention, but due to the current overwhelming commercialization of the entertainment industry. It stood as a tribute to black culture, happiness, and individuality during a period when the mainstream media seldom embraced these aspects. Don Cornelius's death caused a stir in the entertainment world. Esteemed performers such as Aretha Franklin, Smokey Robinson, and Stevie Wonder honored him.
Don would say something like, "Yeah, Smoke,
recognizing his significant influence on black music and culture. Clarence Avant, a trusted confidant, emphasized Don's lasting impact, underscoring that his legacy would never be forgotten. In his later years, Cornelius continued to focus on upholding his reputation. He intended to create a film about Soul Train and a documentary honoring the impact of the show, even though he did not live to witness their completion. Nevertheless, his vision lives on through the impact Soul Train had on artists and fans. Cornelius experienced both success and challenges throughout his life. He transformed the world of television by providing a platform for black artists to shine. But he also endured personal difficulties that affected him greatly in his last days. Nevertheless, his influence continues to be undeniable. Soul Train is a significant part of American television and black culture, marking a pivotal moment. It was more than just a musical program. It was a powerful influence that showcased black music, style, and self-expression. The show provided a platform for artists to showcase their true selves and exposed viewers to a fresh perspective on black artistry. Don Cornelius's impact continues to be felt, not only through the artists he supported, but also in the lasting inspiration Soul Train provides to successive generations. The show's influence remains evident in various aspects, such as music, dance, and fashion, demonstrating that its significance transcends time. By turning his vision of celebrating black talent into a successful reality, Cornelius solidified his legacy and ensured he will always be commemorated. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.